The war between Israel and the Palestinian Hamas is getting more and more intense. So today, we took a religious look at the conflict between Israel and Palestine. The conflict between Israel and Islam is said to begin with Abraham's two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Abraham is born about 4,000 years ago in Ur in the Sumerian region of Mesopotamia, the cradle of ancient civilization. Later, Abraham is called by God and travels to Canaan, the Promised Land. Canaan is in what is now Palestine. When Abraham complains to God that he has no children, God tells him, "Look toward the heavens. If you can count the stars, count them. This is what your descendants will be like." But contrary to God's promise, after 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarah is still unable to conceive. Frustrated, Sarah sends her Egyptian maidservant, Hagar, to sleep with her husband Abraham, and Hagar becomes pregnant. Relations between Sarah and Hagar quickly deteriorate. Hagar despises Sarah, and Sarah abuses Hagar. Abraham recognized Hagar's Ishmael as his firstborn, and Abraham raised Ishmael with love. Then one day, God spoke to Abraham, "Your wife Sarah will surely bear you a son. You shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him, and it will be an everlasting covenant to his descendants." True to God's word, when Abraham is 100 years old and his wife Sarah is 90, Sarah miraculously gives birth to Isaac. As a side note, Sarah is beautiful, even at the age of 90. King Abimelech falls in love with her beauty just before she becomes pregnant with Isaac. For reference, Abraham dies at age 175 and Sarah at age 127. Sarah's birth creates a succession problem for the birthright, Ishmael and Isaac. Sarah tells Abraham to get Ishmael and the maid Hagar out of the house. Abraham is filled with anxiety because Ishmael is his firstborn son, the one he loved. God says, "Do not be troubled about this child and the affairs of your handmaid. Listen to everything Sarah has told you." God speaks to Abraham, who is troubled about the future of his firstborn son, Ishmael. "I will also bless Ishmael, and he will be extremely fruitful, and he will have 12 patriarchs, and I will make him a great nation." Muslims are the descendant of Ishmael, which is why Abraham is considered the origin of their ancestors. Abraham takes a leather bag of bread and water, slings it over Hagar's shoulder, and sends her out with Ishmael. When Hagar runs out of water in the wilderness, she distances herself from her child and cries out, "I do not want to see my child die." Then an angel of God calls to her and says, "Arise, lift up the child and take him by the hand, and I will make of him a great nation." God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a spring of water, and she went and filled a leather bag with water and gave the child a drink. And God was with the child, and he grew up and lived in the wilderness and became an archer. Meanwhile, how is this story recorded in Islam's Quran? Abraham's firstborn son, Ishmael, is cast out into the desert. Hagar searches for water for her thirsty son Ishmael, but when she can't find any, she prays to God and the well of Zamzam miraculously appears. Hagar and Ishmael then settled in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. God instructs Abraham to travel to Mecca and build the Kaaba, a sacred house of worship, with Ishmael. Since then, Muslims around the world have prayed to the Kaaba every day, and every year, millions of Muslims gather in Mecca to perform the Hajj pilgrimage ritual, where they circle the Kaaba 7 times, walk through the wilderness where Hagar and Ishmael walked, and drink water from the Zamzam well. To summarize, Isaac is the child of promise, and God makes a covenant with Abraham and his descendants. In Jewish tradition, the covenant between God and the nation of Israel was passed down through the patriarch Isaac. In Islam, on the other hand, Ishmael is a prophet, and according to the Quran, God gave him the status of a prophet to spread the message of God. Muslims believe that Ishmael settled in the Arabian Peninsula and consider him the ancestor of the Arab people. But when did the conflict between Israel and Palestine begin in earnest? In the next installment, we'll take a look at the causes of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. If you enjoyed this video, please consider recommending, subscribing, and spreading the word. Thank you for watching.